grind up some questions that we had people ask yesterday. So we got 7 questions.
Actually, 1, 2, 3.
Maybe even more.
8.
8 questions. We're going to go one at a time. We're both going to share our answer, and we'll get right into it. Let's go.
Okay. Do you want me to just use this to keep recording? Or
Yeah, you can just let it keep recording.
All right.
You do the questions.
Okay. So, first question. Thoughts on birth control as a Christian?
Yeah, I'll start. Thoughts on birth control as a Christian?
Yes.
First thing I would say is what we are about to share is what God has spoken into our life, the wisdom God has given us, and the conviction He has given us on what we're supposed to do in our relationship, in our marriage. So whatever we share, it's in no way telling anybody else what to do, and it's not judging anybody else's situation either. It's just the conviction and the wisdom that we've got from God in our own walk. So, especially with this topic of birth control, but
it's what we feel is right for us.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. It's like what we feel is right in the eyes of God.
Right, in the eyes of God. That's what we feel is right in the eyes of God.
Yeah, and that's not from our conclusions. That's from, we would hope, what God has revealed to us. So anyways, since Laura's the lady and birth control affects the ladies more than the men.
A lot, yes.
And it's their bodies, then I'm going to let her share her opinion.
Okay, I don't like the idea of birth control because it does affect you as a woman, and it affects your hormones, and it just affects the natural rhythms of your body. And I think it's just really important for women to be it's important for anybody to be healthy, but especially women, because we're called to carry life, and that's a huge role and responsibility, and our health is really important. And I just think birth control interferes with a lot of what God's natural use of our bodies is for. I don't know how to explain this well. But I just think it interferes with God's natural call of what the natural rhythms of our body, our natural cycles. I think it just seems like it interferes with what God's plan is for us. So
yeah,
I'm not really for birth control, to be completely honest. If I'm completely honest.
Yeah, my opinion, I support everything Laura says. The way I see it, and the way I felt convicted if we were going to use birth control, and I felt like it was not what God was calling us to do, because what I've seen in my life and my walk with God is we either surrender control to God, or we try to take control. And it says, my verse for this year has been Psalm 118 verse 8. It says, it's better to trust in the Lord than to put your confidence in man. So I have found myself in so many different areas of my life, like me trying to control the outcome with my career, with my dating, with my relationships, with where I'm living, all this type of stuff. And ultimately, we're not the ones in control. What we're supposed to do is be submissive to what God wants. So if we were to be using birth control, we're basically telling God, all right, God, we don't care what you say it's time for us to have kids. We're going to dictate when we get to bring life into our life. And it's literally in the name, birth control. So instead, what we're doing is we're doing natural family planning, which she's not on birth control, and I'm sure there's cases where women need birth control to like control certain things, like, you know, it helps them actually from a physical perspective. But in most cases, I'm not very informed, but I know for a fact in most cases actually all it does is screw up the women's hormones.
It's very harmful, actually.
So it's not actually even good for their body.
No, it's not.
And then we're taking control away from God, and we can still have some control, right? What we're doing with family planning is Laura literally takes her temperature every morning, so we have figured out how to track her cycle, you know, based on her temperature and other body cues, like when she's fertile, when she's not. And then just what this does is it requires you guys to have more discipline. So in the periods, like when she's ovulating, we're not trust that, like, if this is how we're operating, and we're still okay, we're tracking her ovulation, we're not having sex when she's fertile, we know, of course, there's a chance that she could somehow get pregnant still. There's actually a very low chance if you just track her cycle right, and you like just follow the cycle in terms of your physical intimacy. Like, it's actually pretty easy to avoid. Like, we have a great sex life, but I'm just saying, it's like not like you're not having any sex at all.
No, there's actually only a couple days out of the month that a woman is fertile and actually able to get pregnant. And if you're tracking your cycle, you'll see, like, on this app that we use, there's days where I'm red and there's days where I'm green. So the days that I'm red are the days that we have to have more self-control, and we have to just try to avoid pretty much having sex, which actually brings me to think about this. Like, with birth control, I think a lot of the time why people want to do it is because it takes a lot of responsibility out of the picture as well. You're pretty much able to just do whatever you want when you want, and it seems like that's a big reason why birth control, I don't know, you take birth control because you're like, I want to be able to have sex whenever we want and do whatever we want without the consequences, which would be having a child maybe when you don't feel you're ready or you don't feel like it's the right time. So I think natural family planning is a way of, like, still including God within your relationship and within your sex life and within having children, because you still in a marriage get to enjoy the beauty of having a sex life with your husband or wife, but then there's periods where you have to have self-control and be honest with yourself. If we don't feel like it's the right chapter, then we need to be responsible and have the self-control and the discipline to not do something that's going to give us the consequence of that action. So I think it's and actually in the Bible it does talk about that you should, as a husband and wife, have a very healthy sex life, and sex should be often, and intimacy is important in your relationship, except for periods of time if you decide to just not, if you abstain from it for prayer and fasting. So I think those red days could essentially be a good time where you're abstaining from it intentionally for prayer and fasting. And I think it's powerful, and it's just that's our perspective of it, and it just seems natural and it just seems right. And if we were to get pregnant doing it the way that we're doing it, there's more peace about it, knowing, okay, this must be what God wants for our lives at this time. So it's a beautiful blessing, it's a peaceful thing, and my body's not getting wrecked by these artificial hormones or whatever birth control does to women's bodies and the way it affects your moods. And I have so many friends and girls in my family that I love, and they say how birth control just makes them feel so depressed, or it makes you gain weight, or all of these things that it does to your body. It's just that's not God's way. Like, it's not the natural way or cycle of things. So I think overall birth control is just more damaging to the family than it is an empowering thing. And I think that's just where we stand. So we don't use birth control. We're doing things very naturally, and God is in the center of that. So yeah, I would say that's pretty much our stance on birth control.
Yeah, we're not taking control away from God. If He wants to work a miracle or have us get pregnant outside of what we're doing, then we're giving Him that opportunity. And sure, you could say even what we're doing, we are technically controlling whether or not we have a kid right now. However, what we're doing right now, it's like what we're doing is we're stewarding our relationship in our marriage and preparing for the family that we're going to have. We're doing that from a perspective of responsibility. So it's like it wouldn't be responsible of us to have a kid right now, because God's not giving us the word to have a kid. So have discipline in the periods where she's fertile, but also He's not calling us to take full control away from Him either. Well,
I think intentionality and control are different things, and people could say, well, you're still trying to control the outcome. I think we're not trying to control it. We're trying to be intentional. We're not just being reckless in our decisions of let's get me on birth control and just have sex pretty much whenever we want, and then we'll get off of birth control when it's time to have a baby. It's being more intentional, I would say. Being more intentional. We're not trying to control anything.
And also during those red days, like, you know, we take advantage of them and we're excited, and it's like we've been. It's like when you fast and you get to break the fast. Like, it's nice. So
Yeah.
Do next question.
Sure. Let's see. What's the most important thing you were looking for in your partner before you met? Okay, this is very easy for me. I wanted somebody who had a very strong relationship with Jesus, somebody who knew Jesus and was pursuing him and knew what they wanted. I wanted them to also want that out of me, because when you have a relationship with Jesus and God is first in your life, you are also looking for a partner that has that. So that was for me the number one thing. He has a strong relationship with Jesus. He's a strong, godly man. If Jesus is truly first in his life, all of the other traits and qualities that I was looking for, I knew they would be there. So that was number one for me, was his faith being strong and God being first in his life. Yeah, that was big for me. It was the biggest thing.
Yeah, for me too, it was similar. I think especially as a man, it's easy to get like swindled by things like looks or whatever. I mean, I think looks is probably the biggest one, like the biggest deceiver for men. So when you're looking for a woman, like, you really need to become like an observer and like an analyst, and you know, like looking to see, is this God's will and is this woman from God? So for me, the number one thing I wanted to, and I knew was most important, was a woman who had a strong desire for God and was truly equally yoked, because I've had relationships, you know, I had relationships in the past where being equally yoked wasn't a priority. We ended up being unequally yoked, and obviously all that did was result in a relationship that didn't work out. And so it'll never work out if you're unequally yoked. And what I mean by that is, she doesn't have to have the exact same wisdom and knowledge as you, nor do you with her. But basically, when I think about equally yoked, it's like you guys have to have the same desire and fire for God to like move in the same direction. And if she has that desire, and like, you know, I won't ask her like, what's your relationship with Jesus, or like, what's your relationship with God? Like, let that reveal itself. Like when I talk about being the observer, you know, you want to let those things, don't ask and look for like what you're hoping to find. Like, let that show itself to you or not, because if she is on fire for God, then that's definitely going to reveal to you. So I would say, does she truly, like, it doesn't matter if she goes to church, it doesn't matter if she says she believes in Jesus, like, that means nothing. Like, you will be able to see her heart posture and whether or not she truly pursues the Lord.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, the fruit of somebody's characteristics and things about them will show when Jesus is really truly first. And one thing he said to me was, I don't know, we started talking on Instagram, and I think the way that I answered some of his questions, he never directly asked me, what's your relationship with Jesus like? It was never like that. But I think because of where my heart was and how on fire I was for God, my heart revealed itself within my answers naturally, and I think that appealed to him. So I think that's what he's trying to say, is don't ask a girl, because then of course sometimes they're going to put their best foot forward and maybe try to impress you or make it seem like their faith is more important.
Or she's going to say she loves Jesus if you ask her.
If you ask, of course. So it's just important to let things naturally evolve, and that is also a way of saying from the beginning, if you're talking to somebody, dating somebody, and you're pursuing, you know, you want to date for marriage and you're looking for your wife or you're looking for your person, you kind of just want to let that reveal naturally, because that's also letting God be in control from the beginning. You don't want to try to dig and seek to see, I really like this girl because she's beautiful and I like what she does, and so let me try to poke and see if she's on the same level as me with my faith. I think let those things reveal naturally, and that's why dating or talking season is so important. But like he said, letting it reveal just naturally is kind of putting your will below God's, which is very important, especially in beginning stages of dating, I think. So
you're a mechanic, that doesn't mean she's gonna like have advice on how to be a better mechanic or a better doctor. But what she's gonna do is she's gonna basically give you wisdom that brings you closer to God. It helps you do what God's calling you to do, whether that's simply you becoming a better man, living in your God-given potential, or actually, carrying out like your day-to-day work. Like, she's gonna basically help you evolve and grow spiritually. That's the wisdom that you want to find from her. If she's not doing anything to make you better, I'll do it for her. If she's not doing anything to make you better, then she's not from God, because it says in Genesis, God gave him a helper. So if she's a helper, she's going to help you become better as a man, in whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Sure, you don't want me to help you right now. I think I could do it. My hand is smaller than yours.
I think I got it.
Okay. Well, are we ready for the next question?
Sure.
All right. At what moment did you know you were going to marry each other? You want to go first or me?
You can go first.
All right. I'm going to keep it simple. I knew I was going to marry him after our second FaceTime. So after we FaceTimed the second time, I knew that this man was going to be my husband, and I wrote it down in my journal. I have proof. So I knew pretty quickly that he was going to be my husband. But after the second, what moment? It was after our second FaceTime.
Yeah, but how?
Well, that wasn't the question. But how I knew exactly what I was looking for, and I knew what I wanted in a person. And also, we were talking about this. There's no logical way of knowing who your husband or wife is. When you're pursuing the Lord and that's on your heart, or you're praying for your future wife or your future husband, and you're pursuing God and you've laid your desire or timeline down about that, you start to get this supernatural sense or understanding of things with the Holy Spirit working within you. So just as we started talking and as we were getting to know each other, there was this supernatural peace between Jack and I that I can't really explain logically. It was really just through, honestly, the grace of God giving me his wisdom and his confirmation in ways that I can't explain. God's confirmation was just all over it, everywhere. It just kept showing up in my life. So I had this supernatural peace in knowing that Jack was going to eventually be my husband. And I didn't know the timeline of it. I didn't know that, but I knew that he was going to be my husband one day. So
Yeah, for me, I knew when I started talking to Laura that there was like a lot of potential, that she could potentially be my wife, but I also for a long period of time wanted a wife so bad that blinded me to like what was actually from God and what wasn't. So basically my heart posture with Laura was, I would see things, in our relationship in ways God would send confirmation, whether it was like through scripture or conversations we had, other interactions, and I would take that as like a confirmation from God just to like keep pursuing. And I also got to a place of like being okay and at peace with like the unknowing, because I was like, all right, God, you may not want to like let me know in the first month or even the second month, like if this is my wife, and I'm not going to try to push to like solve that just because like I want to know. So I think having that posture of like, I'll follow where you're leading me, but I'm also going to stay open to being redirected, I think that was the most helpful thing for me. And I knew before I met Laura in person, which was, we talked for about 2 months before we met in person. So yeah, I journaled it too, like praying for my wife, and I knew I was going to marry her. And yeah, God just continued to confirm, and I left that heart posture open for him to like redirect, even after a lot of confirmation. But then it came to a point where it was like so much confirmation, and she and I both had a conversation. It was like, all right, how long are you going to wait for me to keep confirming what I've already confirmed?
Yeah.
And it's like, if God's confirmed it, and it's been clear to you, and it's come with peace and no confusion, then that's from God, and we're called to be obedient.
Right.
And so then I got to a point where like my heart was committed. But when my heart became committed, I still continued to bring the relationship with God and to like ask Him to reveal timing and everything about how we were conducting it to us.
Well, that's good to bring into the next question with the timing thing, because the next question is, what gave you the confidence to get married in only 5 months?
Yeah, what gave me the confidence was God is a suddenly God, and it's so anti-society, and it's so against our culture.
Yeah, it is against our culture.
Which is like, people want to wait to like make sure you're good, or make sure you know, or make sure you figured it out, or be physical and test that out, which we didn't do, and that's another conversation. But it's the same as the idea. Like, think of the idea that like you have to go to school, get a degree, and then go and work for a company for 40 years and retire. Like, obviously everybody who's watching this, because I'm assuming most people are young, but if you're not, like in your 20s and 30s, like, that's dope too. Shout out to the old heads. Yeah, like, we all know in this generation, like, that's not the path you have to follow. But our society still has this view that like you have to go through years of dating and stuff like that, and you have to move in first, and that's not how God works. So it's like
not how God works.
God calls you to be obedient, and once you know it's from God, then
it's swift obedience. Once you know, you move, and I think that's been our thing since for a long time. It was like, once you know something and it's confirmed, you move. And we knew we were going to marry each other. We moved with our dating season. He, when he asked me to be his girlfriend the first day that we ever met in person, officially asked me, we moved and moved and moved, and we just knew, like, okay, if God is directing us toward marriage, we still had an open, is it supposed to be a year from now? We're not sure. We were very open about it, but there was little details in our life about certain things in our life that just lined up to make us realize, okay, actually God is calling us to be obedient in a quick marriage, because there's things we're supposed to be doing, and just waiting, it didn't make any sense. It definitely didn't make any sense, not when it came to the kingdom, not when it came to our purpose, not when it came to obedience. So we knew that it was just time to move pretty quickly. So that's where we got the confidence. The confidence came from God. Long story short, the confidence came from God. It wasn't our own decision, or we didn't just come up with an answer between the two of us. It was definitely seeking God, and He gave us the confidence to know what the right timing for us was. All that to say, Godfidence is what they say. That's where it came from.
I don't say that Godfidence thing. I think it's cheesy, but
well, whatever. That's what they say. Godfidence. It can be cute.
I don't do what they do, so I don't know about Laura, but yeah, got confidence from God.
Yes, we did.
But it's from, you have to pursue Him. You have to, whatever you're doing, like, you have to bring it to Him. So like, you do that through prayer and keep laying it down. When I mean laying it down, like, all right, I was excited, she was excited, we loved the idea of it, but just because you like the idea of it, you can't get obsessed with it and then try to make it happen and force it because that's what you want, right? That's not what God wants you to do. Like, moving from a posture of surrender, what that means is like, all right, even as much as I may want this or desire it, I'm going to keep bringing it to God, and like, I'm not going to move forward unless He continues to show me that this is it. And the way He shows you that is through, like, once again, like, He uses scripture, He uses little things that people would call coincidences. Like, if you're pursuing God, you will see the things.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you hear God clearly and not confuse it with your own desires? Like, how do you not confuse God speaking to you with, if you have a strong desire? for something, how do you know that it's God speaking and not your own desires?
Yeah, you can go.
Well, I think a lot of the time God actually, God does place desires in our heart, and he knows the desires of our heart, and he wants to bring us to those desires, but sometimes we don't even actually understand what it is that we want a lot of the time. So I think how you know it's God is because usually it requires you to do something that has a little bit of conviction in it. And what I mean by that is he's pointing you in the direction that you know is right, but something about it maybe feels at the moment like it's going against your own desires, or it's hard, or it's going to require something that maybe feels fearful or scary, or some type of change or responsibility within you. I think God always calls you higher in something. So his voice is a little bit different because it's still the same direction, but the path to getting there is just a little bit different. I don't know if that really makes any sense, but I think sometimes our own desires keep us in the same a little bit, and when God gives us direction, it actually feels like direction. It actually feels like we know there's something that we need to do, and it's usually a step out in faith. We don't know how we're going to do it or how to get started, or there's some type of obstacle we have to go to God. We can only get through with God. I'm not really sure if that makes sense, but that's how I know things are from God sometimes.
You guys, does that make sense to you guys?
Probably not, but good. Let Jack explain. Go ahead.
I wasn't even really listening.
That's great.
Because I'm trying to give you guys an unbiased answer. I'm navigating. We're driving through New York, so I gotta pay attention to the directions, but I would say, how do you know if it's from God versus you? If it's from God, it's always there's gonna be a peacefulness about it and a flow. I think if it's your desire. Typically, when I see negative emotions, any negative emotion is an indicator that what you're doing is either not from God or it's not aligned with God yet. Because feeling stress, anxiety, overwhelmed with anything you're doing, that means you either haven't surrendered it to God or like you're not doing it in the right way. Because what's from God comes with peace, it comes with clarity, and yeah, if you're like constantly met with resistance, I think that shows a lot about it being your desire and not God's.
Yeah.
And then it's like, is it gonna glorify you or is it gonna glorify God? So like us moving to Philadelphia and leaving Bali, the reason I wanted to stay in Bali is because that was the lifestyle I wanted to live. Be in the sun, all that type of stuff, but that necessarily didn't do anything for God. And then God calling us to Philadelphia was like, it's still gonna help, and it's gonna help more because it's from God, but it's still gonna help us do like what God's calling us to do. Like, it's gonna be more fruitful for my business, it's gonna help me have more impact on more men, it's probably gonna be healthier for our relationship and what we do together. So I have the desire for all of those things, but I didn't necessarily have the desire to step away from that type of lifestyle. So I think once again, and in Psalm 37:4 it says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. So when you're pursuing God, he is going to place desires in your heart. And the great thing about pursuing God is when you pursue God so strongly, like his desires become yours. And if you're truly delighting yourself in the Lord, what that means is like God's ways bring joy to me, and I find delight in living in obedience to God and doing things God's way. So if I'm truly doing that, I'm pursuing him, I'm living in a way where I'm delighting myself in him. Every desire I have, I'm just bringing to God and I'm just checking it with him. And I'm not going to get an answer right away a lot of the time, but I'm going to continue to bring it to him, and he's just going to continue to reveal, like, is this from me? Is it from me, Jack, or is it from him? And or he's just going to, like, redirect it slightly, or he's going to say, like, this is totally not for me, like, I need you to get rid of this. And that was kind of what he did with Bali. But yeah, it's like, are you giving it to him? Because if you just take a desire and you pursue it and you're like, I'm going to go get this, I'm going to make it happen because I want it, then that's where you miss God, and because you're not inviting him into it. So you have to keep bringing things to God to let him confirm or close the door. And if you don't know, if it's from God, then that means that's an indicator you should keep bringing it to him, because you don't know. So don't run with it yet. You know, you can move in a direction, but don't, like, commit to something that you don't know is from God yet, because he will if you keep bringing it to him.
I think it's misleading sometimes when people say that if God is in it, there's going to be peace. I think what should be said is that the result, it always results in peace, but sometimes God's will is not right away peaceful. Like us having to leave Bali, like that wasn't, oh, we're in so much peace because we have to leave Bali and go back to Philly. No way. It was resistance and confusion and all the things, because they also say God is not a God of confusion, and he's not. But sometimes, like what I was saying, is his will convicts you sometimes. You know it's pointing you in the right direction, so that's where the peace comes from, but it convicts you in this way where it calls you higher. It calls you to laying something down, showing up in more responsibility, but you still have a peace because you trust that his will is going to be better than your own. So the peace is always the result, but you won't always necessarily feel peace. Like, for example, we both had to leave on unequally yoked relationships. That was for sure 100% God's will, and we both knew it. Was it peaceful? No. But the result was peace, because we knew that God had something better on the other side, and we were walking in his will. So the result is always peace when it's from God. And your own desires, I think, sometimes will keep you stuck in your comfort zone. And if there's something in your life that you keep questioning, is this God's will for my life? Is this God's will for my life? There's something you still probably haven't necessarily laid down yet, because you're still living in the comfort of no change or no true direction, if that makes any sense. Like, God reveals when you move. So if you have to keep asking, is this God's will? Is this God's will? Is this God's will? You probably have to step out in faith in some sort of way to get the next answer and confirmation.
Yeah, that's good.
So
it's good on the peace thing too. Yeah. The process isn't often peaceful, but it's the knowing that's peaceful. It's like, this is why we read the word, because it, you know, you get to know God's nature, and you get to know his character, and you get to know his promises. So God says, like, he'll do exceedingly and abundantly more than we could ever do. So ultimately, all of our desire, like if we talk about our desires versus God, our desires are selfish in nature because they're to better ourselves. And that doesn't mean your desires are good. Like a lot of our desires, like I said, God gives us to them, and God wants to actually bless us, and he wants to put us in a place where we do live abundantly. But like that's what makes it easier for me now to like do what God wants and not what I want, because whatever God is going to do anyways is going to be way better than, from a selfish perspective, whatever God is going to do for me is going to be way better than what I could have done for myself anyways. So like, it's remembering God's word and just remembering who he says he is. And God never fails, and it's like once you are obedient to one of God's promises, what happens is he delivers on it, and that should give you the confidence to continue to be obedient when the call gets more difficult and the level of faith increases to it's more faith is required, more sacrifice is required, because you've already seen him be faithful once and deliver on his promise once, so he'll do that again. Yeah,
that's true. That's good. Okay, fun Christian dates for new and lasting couples. Okay, do you want to go?
Yeah, I would say especially in the beginning, just don't go over to each other's house. No like movies on the couch, because you're actually trying to do things a godly way. You don't have to go into the whole sex thing super deep, but the best part about keeping sex and anything sexual out of it at the beginning is like the clarity it brings.
Yeah,
everybody,
for sure.
Everybody likes sex, so it's like, sure, you're going to enjoy that, obviously, if you start to go down that road, and all it's going to is like it's gonna create what seems like a good thing, but it's gonna
cloud your judgment
yeah, it's
and your
gonna
vision.
cloud, you know, true vision of what's from God. So I'd say that, and then
I would keep alcohol out of dates for sure, because that also is another thing that clouds your.
yeah, I think if you have like one drink or something,
Yeah, I mean, one drink, maybe
two.
a glass of wine, but
or like 5.
I don't think 2. I think 1, and that's it. Cap it after that. I don't even think you should really drink, but for new, I think something special about dating, I think it's a way to show the other person things that you value and are important to your heart and things that you enjoy doing. So I think you should always be honest about how you want dates to be, or what restaurants you want to go to, what kind of food you want to eat, what movies you want to go and see, because that could reveal things that you guys have in common, and that makes it super fun if you both are really excited to go to the movies and you like the same genre, or if you're both really excited to go and get Mexican food, then that makes dating really fun, because it becomes something that is special and exciting for the both of you. So I think try to do things that you both enjoy. I don't know, just do like humble, fun, wholesome things.
I would say don't do movies.
No, don't do movies, but I'm just,
you don't interact.
some people love movie dates though.
It's good to do things that make you feel like a kid. So
Yeah.
we went to like Dave and Buster's. It's an arcade, and we played a bunch of games. And it's also like things that force you to be authentic, but also things that force you to be vulnerable. Like you have to be okay with like looking like a fool and being like a kid.
Yeah, we had fun doing
So like
that.
it's the winter season coming up, so like ice skating could be it's like a good idea, because it's like it's goofy.
It's fun. You could fall.
we like somebody's beeping at me. We like eating food, so
we love
food
going
is
outside.
good just because you get to talk and get to know each other. So
Coffee dates are nice if you like coffee, and it's a good way to talk, have good chats. Some people like walking dates.
yeah, coffee is a great, honestly, first date. I would say if you want to like
Get to know them.
make yourself look like a good man with good intentions, ask her out to coffee. One, also you don't have to drop a check on it, so that's nice for the first date. Like if she's boring, then you don't spend however much out at a dinner. And
That's true.
also, it like most guys, I don't think ask girls out to coffee, but there's like an innocence about coffee. It's like, all right, he's not gonna obviously try to take me home to his bedroom after dinner. So it's quick and easy, it's cheap. I think I don't think
Coffee's
there's a
great.
better first date.
Coffee's good. And coffee dates are great even if you're a lasting couple. We had one time it was just like accidental. We went and got coffee and we sat at a table. We didn't have our phones and we just chatted for a while, and it was really nice. And we both even look back on that and we're like, that actually was so nice. We just had coffee and sat down and talked about so many things, and we noticed that when we do that, God always reveals so much of himself in our relationship and his plans for our life when we connect with each other that way. So coffee is a great one, I think, for lasting and new couples.
Yeah, you gotta make time as a couple to just literally sit
and do
for
nothing
a couple
together.
hours and no distractions and just talk.
Yeah. That's a good after church thing to do on a Sunday or before church. Favorite recipes and ideal Christian movies or show. Favorite recipes, unfortunately, we eat the same thing all day, every day. Ground beef, sweet potato, eggs.
I have a ribeye and sweet potato.
Ribeye and sweet potato? That's what we had last night for his birthday dinner with his family. But yeah, I love red meat and sweet potato. It's very simple and easy and just super nutritious. Anything I know that's simple but delicious and good for my body, we'll take it. That's what we like.
Pizzas is fun if you want to do like a date at home where you guys make something.
A pizza.
You can make pizzas. It's easy and it tastes good. So, if you want to be a boss as the man, make her steak dinner.
That sounds nice.
And if you don't have a grill, this is the way to do it. Get a cast iron, sear it in the cast iron, and then put it in the oven for however long, like 10 minutes. whatever temperature you're cooking it for. So you have to learn.
That's
If
not
you're
true.
real good at it, you'll learn to like just know the temperature by touching it. But that's a whole nother topic. If you have to cut it open or put a thermometer in it, like that's amateur.
Whatever. I probably would have to do that.
That means you have to cook some steaks by yourself before. I wouldn't go for trying to make a girl a steak for the first date. Oh, that'll be a mistake if you've never made one in your house before.
Meatballs are fun.
Yeah.
Of course, for me,
I think meatballs are hard to make good, so I
No.
wouldn't suggest it, ladies. If you want to woo him, I wouldn't suggest
meatballs
making
are
him
meatballs are something you make from the heart. They always taste good. For
Meatballs
me.
is hard to
He knows
make.
I'm obsessed with meatballs. He makes fun of me. I'm gonna turn into a meatball.
Or
this
isn't
point.
basically a meatball.
Basically, I am a meatball, but I love them, and he knows that I love
And
them.
then in terms of movies,
Movies are hard. Everything's cultural these days. I don't know. Wholesome old school movies are good. Like, what can you think of a good movie that's like an old school movie? I feel like they're like
well,
the
we've
classic
been watching
movies.
The Chosen lately, which has actually been pretty good. And for
We like The
anybody
Chosen.
who's not super well versed in the Bible or
Yeah, it's
Christianity, it's good. It just makes it easy to understand.
The Bronx.
Why is it?
You need to go to 95 South, not North, to New Jersey. There you go. You want to go to Carlos Bakery and get a cannoli?
Cannolis are
You
lame.
know, they're not. I love cannolis too.
And movies.
I'm not a big movie person, so I can't say movies.
I don't know Christian movies. I like The Revenant.
What's
That's with like Leonardo DiCaprio in the woods, and his son gets killed, and a bear mauls him, and he basically dies.
Wait.
And makes it back.
We
so-
saw this great movie when we were in Hawaii, and it was based on a true story, and it was about a slave who escaped, and his story, like, to save his family, and he was a very, very strong in his faith, very strong Christian man. Really, what got him through all of the trial and tribulation he went through was his faith in God. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
That was a great movie. I don't remember the name of it, though. Will Smith plays the main character, though, so maybe that.
And it was all black and white.
It was all
That's
black and
actually
white.
Surprisingly.
It was a really good. We enjoyed that movie. That was good.
And lastly, my favorite TV show is actually Game of Thrones, but yeah, I mean, the only problem with that show is it's like a lot of nudity, so if some people, for some people that could be tough, but depends where you're at, like what you struggle with, but I just like that show because it has like incredible plot lines, and it's really intriguing. It's not like Friends or something where you can like have one eye open and you still understand the whole show and basically the next episode without even watching
Yeah, I
it.
heard Game of Thrones has a lot of sex in it. Like a lot.
Yeah, it's very like medieval, and they have naked people and stuff. But the
Well,
plot lines are good. I don't
whatever.
have convictions about it. Last question.
How do we feel about moving to Philly?
You can go first.
I'm happy about it. I'm excited because I know, well, I'm close to my family and I do love that. I've also traveled all of my 20s. I'm about to turn 27 in November. So this will be the first year in my life, well, not in my adult life, that I've been home for an entire year straight, which is so crazy to think, but I'm just ready and excited to have a home and create a home with this man. So I'm excited about it, and I like being close and near his family. We're only 6 hours away from his parents and some of his siblings, and then super close to my family. So I think it's just going to be a great chapter, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I'm looking forward to the simplicity and the stability.
The simplicity is nice.
To be honest, there's nothing about the lifestyle that excites me at all. I'm kind of bitter about that.
Sorry.
Not really that bitter, but like, I'm not pumped about it.
Right. Which makes sense.
And yeah, I mean, even this is something I do with all my guys. Like, for you to step into your full potential, you need structure and you need stability. So, you know, if there's something about just improving myself that it's addictive. I love that process. Hold on, guys, I need to figure out where to go.
We're going 95. Just keep staying straight to 95 south. Not over here, honey. Straight.
It says to go this way.
Oh, okay. Okay, as long as we get to the Jersey Turnpike, we should be fine.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that because I know it's going to be fruitful for. I'm just going to be able to have more impact with the guys on my team already, with guys who are coming in. That excites me. I mean, it's basically God or my relationship with Laura, and the thing I'm most passionate about next is my business and building and having impact and just getting better. So I'm excited for that. The cheesesteaks are pretty good, and I'm excited. I've been telling myself for years, I played football my whole life. I played in college. I've been telling myself I'm going to sit down and actually watch all the NFL games for years, but I haven't because I always end up working on Sunday. But now I actually rest on Sundays like we're supposed to, give the day to God. So I'm excited to know what's going on and watch an entire NFL season and do nothing on Sundays and be in a comfortable, cozy home. And I think I'm going to start a 12-month-long bulk. So I'm excited for that, to put on the most muscle I ever have. I've never done a bulk that long. And I'm going to start fighting in some way. I think I might do, I don't even know, can't even pronounce it, but it's Muay Thai. I'm going to start fighting probably. I think that's what I'm thinking about doing. So looking forward to that, and just some new scenery for content. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
That's all I got.
That's all we got.
That's all we got.
That was 50 minutes of answering like 7 questions. So
50 minutes. If you guys have questions that you want to know, drop them in the comments so we can answer them on the next one. The juicier, the better. We got no shame. We got nothing to hide. We'll give you exactly what you're looking for. So just drop those questions.
maybe not what you're looking for, but we'll be honest.
Yeah, we won't maybe give you what you're looking for, but we'll
Probably
answer
not.
your questions.
So what, this is going to be YouTube now?
It's going to be a YouTube. We'll see you guys
Wow.
on the next one. Peace.
Bye.